Yeah, thank you, James. I'm here with Michael Farber, Carlo Colaiacovo, and again, under 10 minutes to go, but we're assuming the Oilers are going to stand pat and the Leafs are going to stand pat. So in terms of Canadian powerhouses pursuing a Stanley Cup, we believe we know what the lineups are going to look like. And with regards to all of the movement and how deep these two teams are, I think there's a legit chance on both sides of this that we could see both of these teams possibly pursuing a cup or even in a cup final. You look at the Leafs and all the moves they've already made. Jake McCabe, Gustafsson and Shen on the back end, Ryan O'Reilly, Lafferty and Achari on top of Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Riley, etc. Lots of moves, and the Leafs are well suited for a playoff pursuit. And then if you look at Edmonton, who are rocking right now, the best player in the world, Connor McDavid, 2+ goals in 5 straight games. They have made moves as well. Nick Bjugstad up the middle of the ice, but the big piece being Mattias Ekholm. He is a top 4 defenseman that Ken Holland has been seeking for quite some time. He solidified his services earlier this week. So we have the Leafs and the Oilers, a powerhouse in the East, a powerhouse in the West. Michael, we'll begin with you. Which of these two teams has a better chance at ending the Canadian Cup curse?
Interesting. It's a binary choice, and you haven't mentioned Winnipeg. But I will forgive you for a moment. I think it's Edmonton. I think the East is just too stacked. I do think Toronto gets by Tampa Bay in the first round, but it is such a daunting task in the East. In the West, I know everybody there has loved Colorado. I like Colorado too. Without Cale Makar, and head injuries are a whole different thing, I don't like Colorado nearly as much. So if Makar isn't available in the playoffs, it's wide open in the West. And that's why if you look at what Edmonton brings, and last year, you look at what McDavid and Draisaitl did, best 3-round playoffs since maybe Gilmore in 93 or Forsberg in 02. I think they're capable of taking the team to the Stanley Cup final and maybe beyond.
Yeah, Hayes, I'm with Michael on this one too. I think, you go back to last season's playoffs, they got to the conference finals, into the Final Four, and they got, handed to the Colorado Avalanche, the Edmonton Oilers did. But you look at the moves that they've made, bringing in Ekholm, you like to think they've stabilized their goaltending, considering how bad it was last year.
Can either team be that confident, though, in net?
Well, no, they can't. But, look, I love everything Toronto has done. I think they've given themselves a better chance to win because they're more competitive with the moves that they made. But you're talking about Toronto going through Tampa, Boston, and then maybe Carolina, New
York, New Jersey,
or the Rangers. If you look at the path alone, I think the better bet here is to take Edmonton because they have the best player in the game, too, in McDavid. Think of what he did playoffs and what he could potentially do more this year.
Well, and ultimately, that's what's going to have to change for the Leafs, right, Michael? Like, if you're going to get past Tampa, Boston, and then one of the New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils, Carolina Hurricanes, Matthews, Marner in particular have to be absolute rock stars. If that happens, I believe they have just as good of a shot as Edmonton.
Well, if that happens, yeah, I would think if Toronto, a heavier team, a more playoff style team perhaps, does get that far, yeah, I would think they'd be better than what would ever come out of the West. I just wonder if they can do that. And if they do that, how beat up will they be? The West is an easier path. And as much as I like what Toronto has done, if they can insinuate those players in, find a way to play with them, because there's been big turnover, I like them a lot, but I think it's still too much to ask. It's not too much to ask of this team to finally win a first round.
And Michael, just to touch on that too, you think if the Leafs can finally get over the hump and eliminate the pressure of winning a playoff round after 19 years.
The levee could break. Like the Red Sox in 04.
Right.
It was a formality they were winning the World Series.
What could happen if they could just get that feeling of winning a playoff round? They're playing with house money after that.
Well, and also there is this belief that it's just a lock. Boston's going to win. Carolina's going to win. And that's not always the case. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. There can be a lot of unpredictability, right. Michael. You've seen this over your career. Not everything is going to break the way we think it will on paper.